You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Bonjour, bienvenue to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast that is suitable for all ages from to and everything in between. Je m'appelle Tiernan, et ça va bien merci et toi? As you can see, I am trying very hard to parler français this week, or as you'd say in English, speak French. I think learning languages is brilliant, and I really wish I was better at it, as if I was, I would speak as many of them as possible. And then I'd do each of these episodes in every single language, just one after the other, so they'd all be 7 billion hours long, but everyone in the world could listen. Well, except 100-year-olds. I don't care where you're from or what language you speak, this show still isn't for centennials. But I should say, it's not for centennials, it is for centaurs though, and if you are a centaur, please write in to let me know once again if you wear one pair of trousers or two. I asked this before, or none. It's been bothering me for ages and I really would like an answer. So yes, I don't know another language other than the one I currently speak very badly. English. No, hang on, that's not it, is it? Sorry, Singlish. No, wait, that's the one I speak, but it's all in song, isn't it? It's like, I definitely don't do that. Do I? Oh, maybe I do. English, that's it, that's the one I speak. Do you learn a language at school, or do you speak more than one language at home? I know Linda does. Linda, do you speak another... Oh, wait, hang on. Maybe I've been speaking to Linda in the wrong language this whole time. Maybe that's it. Linda, ¿dónde estás, Linda? Pues hay Linda. No? Ah, well, worth a try, wasn't it? Probably not. I didn't pay a lot of attention to learning languages at school, and I took German instead of French, which was great because of words like Du hast ein Bananenkopf, which means you have a banana head, which is very useful if you go to Germany and you see someone with a banana for a head. But I have family in France, and I've never learned French, and I'm really trying very hard to learn it now with an app on my phone called Puolingo, which... I mean, it's not great. It mainly just teaches you how to say poo in as many different languages as possible. I'm learning French, so in French it's caca, which is very helpful, if you go to France and see a poo. So much of French is useful, though, like the word for egg is un oeuf. That means next time you get told off and your grand andouille cacas, grown-ups, say, stop it, that is enough, then you can run to your kitchen, grab an egg and say, non, c'est un oeuf. They'll be so impressed that you know French, they won't mind that you've covered your entire room in slime or fed your younger sibling to a dragon. But then there are phrases that I have to learn on this app that I don't think I'll need, like il habite dans un arbre, il voisin et un chouette, which means he lives in a tree and his neighbour is an owl. What? When am I ever going to need that? Am I going to go to France and only make friends with squirrels? Actually, that could happen. I do like squirrels. They are brilliant. Or on n'est pas des robots, which means we are not robots. I don't think anyone's going to check if I'm a robot or not, are they? I don't even have anywhere to put batteries in, or I don't have an antenna on my head. It's silliness. That is not a phrase I am going to need if I go to France. What I do need to know how to say, though, is thank you lots, which is merci beaucoup. So I can say merci beaucoup to GeoBall123, who gave the show a lovely 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and sent in a question for a future episode, which will be dealt with on a future episode. And also to KDoc2, who has now given us about 7,000 reviews for this show. And on this one, said it was very good for people who need to get sleep, which is rude. I mean, I've mentioned this before because I know a lot of you listen to this before bed, and I suppose that is nice. But if you're just going to sleep through it, maybe I should skip all the jokes and just count sheep every show. What about that? Every single episode of Radio Nonsense. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4 sheep. Actually, then I'd have to find sheep to count, and I've already got enough farting animals. I have no idea where I'd keep sheep in here. Okay, look, I'll leave that idea for now. If you'd like to give the show a nice review and tell everyone how it's so interesting that you just fall asleep in the middle of listening to it, then you can do that on loads of podcast houses or platforms. I don't really know what they're called, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Podburps, Poodcasts, Stinkable. I don't know, those might be real, they might not be real. Please do get those Grandandui Cacas, grown-ups, to help you though, and I should say that if you review the show more than once, KDoc2, it does just wipe off your previous one, so one is great, thank you very much. Also, please get those grown-ups to help if you want to send in a question to the show, or tell me about other languages that you speak and your favourite words in them, or if you just want to send me anything at all, and you can do that by emailing me at podcast@comedyclubforkids.co.uk. You can also grab our t-shirts and books at comedyclubforkids.store and check out where our live shows are near you at comedyclubforkids.co.uk. Il est maintenant temps pour les plus importantes, or it's now time for the most importantest bit. And I just wanted to give you a bit of a heads up, because you know how this show normally goes. If you're a regular listener to the show, you know what it's normally like. If you're not a regular listener, maybe don't start on this week's. But this week's guest, before I introduce him, might seem a bit grumpier than most of the expert comedians we've had on this show. And that is because, well, I mean, he is, but also he's just, and you'll hear him use this word, solipsistic. And that means someone who believes only their mind is sure to exist and isn't that bothered about absolutely anything else. If you're not really sure what that means, well, if you listen, you'll see. I'm not entirely sure this one's going to help any of you get to sleep, but I do hope you enjoy. Pour de plaisir.
Un verre, verse, un verre, un verrier, verre.
I can't believe it, but this week's guest is the indomitable Marcel Lucont, aka Marcy Lucasi Darcy Farsi, aka Michael Lukewarm, or to all our Turkmen-speaking listeners, Pizza Jishadzini Weiren Eden Adam. But of course, you are most famous, Marcel, for providing the sound effects for Big Ben Everyday Live since 1987, for your most acclaimed performance piece entitled No, the Toilets Are Over There, where everyone who paid for a ticket was told they were in the wrong place and actually the toilets are over there, and for being the only person on the planet to have a diet based entirely on only eating food that sticks to cats. Marcel, it is a delight to have you here. How are you?
I have no idea what just occurred, but sure, yeah, I am as good as can be expected.
You have no idea of what just occurred in life before we spoke, or what just occurred?
No, I think you know full well what I'm talking at the last 2 minutes. But sure, no, it's you do you. It's I sure.
Have I confused you with another Marcel Lucont? Is that is
possibly? If there are others, I would be surprised, but perhaps so. Yes, maybe.
Have you done none of those things? None of those things.
I've done one of those things.
One of which one? Which one?
You'll have to guess.
Oh, I'm gonna go with the diet based eating food that only sticks to cats.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you go with that.
Oh right, okay. But you're not.
I cannot claim to have done this, but I'm not against it as an idea. The cat. I'm not a fan of the cat.
Sure.
The cat is. I know that you say you're a dog person, cat person. No, I'm a me person. I'm quite happy with my own company. I don't need a little furry poop machine chasing me around to enjoy my life. The cat as well is so. He's the he's the two-faced creature. He's so love me, love me, love me, love me. I hate you, but still love me, love me, love me. I hate you. There's my bumhole. That's as it walks away every time. It shows its mark of respect. They think, oh, the flick of the tail is a happy cat. No, it's a cat. Absolutely, showing its dominance over you and not caring one bit for it.
I don't disagree. I mean, I always think when people say I'm a cat person, I always think, does that mean that you might scratch me in the face and show your bum? I'm a dog person. Does that mean you're going to go wee by a wall and only eat bones? Because it always sounds like they're describing their own traits.
And in both cases, licking yourself in public to clean yourself.
Yes, which just wasn't, I don't think that's something you should be boasting to people about, particularly. I mean, unless you're very good at it, I guess.
Yeah, it's a party trick of sorts, I suppose. I've been to some bizarre parties in Montmartre, but probably won't discuss that here.
Yeah, so you're a you person, you're a Marcel person. What does that entail?
Me,
sure.
Mostly.
Yeah.
It's, well, It's I think most of your listeners will know this term, solipsistic approach to life.
Right. Sure. Yes, they're all very aware of the term solipsistic.
Yes,
Of course they are.
it's I struggle sometimes to convince even myself that anything exists outside of my own mind. We can go into some deep philosophy now if you wish, but probably not the time or place.
Well, I suppose because time nor places exist. If outside of your mind, is that also why?
Well, you can talk to many scientists. They can prove to you, a good scientist, he will prove to you that time does not actually exist. Time is
Right.
relative, they say. You can take this further. You can say everything I'm thinking now, well, as Descartes put it, is it a malevolent demon that is trying to get thoughts into my mind? Do I even know my own mind? Does anything actually, what is occurring now? I mean, to be honest, if this is the case, then I have used my own mind to imagine these last 5 minutes, and I don't know why my mind would allow that.
Well, that's what I was also going to ask. Is that why you were late joining the podcast, because time doesn't exist for you?
Yeah, and in France we have a little phrase, better late.
Oh,
It's a short phrase, but
better late. Yeah, sure.
yeah.
That's much better than the phrase I thought you were going to say, because there's the phrase "better late than never." Like I always think that doesn't apply to a lot of, like, I wouldn't want a monster to be late. I'd want it to never appear. Like, I wouldn't want a monster to turn up. Sorry, I'm gonna eat your head. I'm running a bit late. Sorry, I'm late to eat your head. I'd prefer just the monster didn't turn up at all. So I think it depends on the circumstance.
Yeah, different rules for monsters.
Yeah, absolutely. Different rules for monsters in timekeeping. Generally, monsters
Etiquette.
I think, yeah, absolutely etiquette. They don't. I don't think they lay out cutlery in any sort of way on a table, do they?
No, I've never met one that has done that.
No. Have you got many? I suppose it's hard for you to know whether you've got many around where you are, in case they may or may not exist. But have you got many in your area, or is it a generally sort of monster-free zone?
I've lived for some time in a monster-free zone. It was part of the deal with the property I am now in. No monsters. Yeah, no, none around. There was the last neighborhood I was living. There was a problem some years ago now. A problem with a stray pterodactyl. You know the pterodactyl?
Yes, like the big sort of winged,
like
winged ones. Yeah,
terrifying hairless bird, featherless bird. Most birds are hairless, but it had neither of those things. Yeah, it was believed that was the case, and actually, it was not a pterodactyl at all.
Right.
It was a local child who had managed to purchase a drone.
Oh,
and
yes.
He had placed his younger brother onto the drone, a very small child. He had placed onto the large drone as well. Large drone, small child equals just bad.
Yeah.
He had placed on the child 2 kites on the arms to make the wings, and he had placed on the nose initially a traffic cone, but of course this weighed down the child too much, and he could not get levitation. So instead, he used a kind of conical flask.
Right. I mean, that's very smart. I think that's really inventive and very creative. And
yeah, French children are very inventive, creative, smart, wily.
Yes,
managed to fool 2 national newspapers and most of the neighborhood.
How long did the child stay in the air for? What was the consequence? Did he manage to
30 seconds. 30 seconds at best.
Right. Oh, okay. Not very.
Throw the child from a top window and hope that in a fight between the drone pterodactyl child and gravity that the former would win. And it was not flying so much. It allowed at least the child to glide for some time.
Oh, that's wow.
Mm-hmm.
Probably quite fun.
There was not enough lift to get any real
Sure.
air.
Which I understand the problem with real pterodactyls as well. They just sort of glid and then just sort of
What?
land face deep in
They did what?
glided, glidered. They glided
Yeah.
it. They
Mm.
they
I don't.
glided.
I. Somebody else can correct your English. I don't know what it is, but I assume it needs correcting.
It probably does, doesn't it? But but maybe also because I'm discussing pterodactyls, they might have had their own term for it anyway. So for a pterodactyls probably went that's probably what they did.
Well, the child was doing that. That's the noise the
Yes,
child was making all the
very
way
accurate
down,
then.
which added to the belief of those in the neighborhood.
Well, it probably very accurate then. No wonder people were fooled if it was making that noise, glittering, much like pterodactyls did. Probably
Well,
incredibly
yeah, of
accurate.
course, nobody really knows the noise made by pterodactyl, but I can assure you it most definitely would have been something similar to a terrified child on a throne with kitchen equipment attached to its face.
Yes, yeah, I'm certain you're right. I'm absolutely certain you're right. Well, I feel I have to ask if I've completely just got everything wrong about you, and I do apologise. I was very certain I was speaking to the Marcel Lucont who had done the sound effects for Big Ben live every day since 1987, but obviously not yourself. I wondered how are you? Have you been up to much?
It was 1988. I have been I have been busy. I have been on tour. I'm touring the land. I am also doing. It's mostly for adults, but I have two children shows, three actually now booked in. My award-winning kids show, since you mentioned it.
Right, it's won awards. Right.
It won the award for the best kids show 2022. I don't know if you know, but that's this year. So it's the current winner of the kids at the UK Kids Comedy Festival.
So does that mean no one should see it next year or in following years? Is it only good this
It
year?
will only improve next year like a fine wine. I think it probably will win the award every year from now on.
Right, so it's not like an expiry date. It's not like sort of best show 2022, but 2023 probably a bit moldy.
No. It's like a wine. Exactly. No, it's like you would drink a wine from 1921 if it had been preserved beautifully, if it had been gained notoriety among the wine community, and yeah, of course.
I should say that all of our listeners do drink wine. I'm pretty certain that that's what they all do while listening to this. They'll have a bubble bath. They drink a glass of wine. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes.
As it should be. That's how I was raised. And did me no harm at all. And it won the award. It won the award it was the first time I'd ever done the show. And it was from that one. It was nominated for the award, and eventually it won. For that first show, a child was crying in the first 5 minutes.
Wow.
I know, and
just with joy, with sheer joy.
And, terror. She was absolutely. To be fair, she was not the right age. I say it's for 6, 7, 8-year-old plus, and she was not plus. She was definitely younger than that. Ironically, of course, too young to read on the poster that it was not the age for her.
Sure.
So really, some would argue that there was no way she could have known.
So was she more of the age should have been on top of a drone dressed as a pterodactyl with that sort of...
Yeah, I think she was about that size. That would fit on the pterodactyl drone model, yes.
I mean, are you suggesting, and I'm not saying I disagree with this, perhaps, children up to a certain age should only be on drones dressed as pterodactyls, and then after that age, they can come and see your show?
Well, maybe. Some would say it might be life-affirming. From the look I saw on the child's face in my old neighborhood, it did not seem life-affirming at all. If anything, I think the child thought its life was flashing before its eyes.
But then I presume very shortly to end. Would just be an exciting change, because if you've been on a drone dressed as a pterodactyl and it was quite terrifying, coming to your show would then not be terrifying, because in comparison, so it's like quite a good.
Very little in life is terrifying after being thrown out of a high window with fences attached.
Yes, well, that's fair. That's very fair. your children's show. You said you won an award for the very first performance. Is that?
Mm.
I mean, as far again, maybe I've got the wrong Marcel Lucont, but as far as I understand, you win awards pretty much the first time you do everything, don't you? I do.
Yeah, mostly. It's disappointing if that's not the case. And the game show, yes, it's a game show. It's a game show for awful children. The title is Les Enfants Terribles. And I get the children, they get to unleash their inner awfulness because we have to accept, let's be honest, children are awful.
Sure.
The adults, they try to build up this the kind of etiquette and dignity and rules all around them, and I have proved I've done many shows of it now, and every time during the course of 1 hour I have managed to undo all of the work the parents have done before.
Wow.
And reveal the awfulness of the child. They are competing to be the most awful child that day in the theater.
Wow, that's quite a tough competition. I'd have thought. I thought they'd really step up to be as
Yeah, they
awful
have
as
to
possible.
be
Yeah.
many things. They have to be liars, politicians, petomans, many different rounds to win. And
Can I just check? A petterman, is that somebody who farts on request? Isn't it? Is that right?
correct. It's
Yes.
some will say it's vulgar, but actually, you look in the annals of history, however you pronounce that word, you look and you will find the petoman was notorious, an absolutely heralded figure in Paris at the turn of the century. He was petoman. He was someone who would entertain nobility, royalty, the lords of the time, and who could produce amusing gas from his lower parts.
I am so sad that it's not a job that people could do today. I think it's something that children should really aspire to. I mean, imagine if from day one you're like, right, when I grow up, I'm going to be a petterman. I'm going to train now. I'm going to have beans every day. I'm going to get on all the fizzy drinks, and it's. I think lots of children aspire to footballers, celebrities, whatever. A petterman is something that I think, it just seems like a much more honourable job.
Yeah, I think it was unlikely to come back in the COVID era. A lot of health and
Of
safety
course.
protocols involved with the passing of gas, however amusing, through the bum. And yeah, I don't know. It's a lost art. It's a lost art. You rarely see it on a CV now. You will not see it on any. If you have to select a job description for any reason, for insurance purposes, rarely, if ever, will it say petoman on there.
It's a shame, but then I wonder if it being a lost art, perhaps a lost fart, even that now people will do it as a hobby. It will kind of come back as a kind of underground thing. A bit like you just when certain music goes out of fashion, people instead make it for their own taste, and they make it even better because it's like it's for them. And so perhaps pettermen and just kind of farting on cue will be something that kids listening to this might be inspired to start an underground farting scene.
We have seen some magnificent petomans in the course of this show. I mean, really, some of the techniques, really.
Wow.
I think I am raising the next generation of the petoman, whether their parents like that or not.
Incredibly admirable. Incredibly admirable. Is there any techniques you can specifically sort of share with us? Is there anything that perhaps you could help inspire listeners with? What's a really good way to start if you are not sure if you can fart on cue?
Well, you have to find your own method, but I will say this: eating food with herby content, the good herbs, some good thyme or basil in there, can really produce, along with the note. The wonderful note can also have, well, a different kind of note, a note of herbs about it with the smell.
Sure.
You can. It's not about the smell. The smell is that's a byproduct that you cannot help. But it's about the sound is what it's all about. But
Absolutely. So season your farts is what you're saying.
Yes, it's exactly what I'm saying. And also listen to some jazz.
Right.
Listen to jazz, because if you can produce this kind of note, I recall one child in Edinburgh. He produced it was like a muffled trumpet, I recall hearing it on a Django Reinhardt album. One of his band members produced a similar sound of this muffled trumpet. It sent me right back to this, to this album, and really a jazz petoman in the making. You will hear a lot more from him in the future, I think.
Wow. Well, I mean, that'd be exciting. Hopefully this would, who knows where this could lead. Entire proms where everyone on stage is just a epitome of different tones and depths, and you could
timbre.
Yeah, that's it. That was the
timbre is all important. The timbre is the sharpness of the note. I mean, it's the career is fraught with danger.
Yeah.
If you are going to embark on this, I would buy a few more pairs of trousers. And underpant. It's fraught with danger, but the danger is the fun part. To get the correct, you cannot make you cannot make a pet omelette without caking a few legs.
Wow, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Merci. Yes, and possibly smelling like eggs as well, depending on what you've eaten.
The diet is everything there as well, so important.
Yes. Well, I mean, and you would know about that with your diet of food that only sticks to cats and that you may or may not have. Yes. Well, listen, Marcel, I appreciate that you're busy teaching children how to become the sort of fart orchestras of the future. And I appreciate that you have time to come on this show. I've got a couple of, I've got a big question that I need to ask you, and I think it's probably, you are the one person that can answer this. If you're the Marcel I'm thinking of, if you're not, you might also not be the one. You might be the absolutely worst person, but we'll find out. But before then, I've got some admin that I have to do because it is necessary for this show. The first bit is you might be aware. I know you've worn your sort of special outfit for this, but this is an audio only podcast. I am sorry about that. And
I did not do it for you. Don't worry. This is I am wearing this for me.
I did wonder. Yes, I did wonder. But this most of our listeners will be hearing this with their ears, or as we say every week, maybe their bums, their knees. I don't discriminate. However they want to listen to it, that's fine. Probably their glass of wine in the bath. And I just wonder that because it's audio, if you have a favourite noise, you can either tell us about or preferably even make.
Noise. Well, for me, I suppose.
Wow.
It's a noise which absolutely the French language cannot do without. Restaurant, raconteur, and yet it's a noise which eludes many of the English. Again, I've heard Englishmen try to do it and vomit in the process.
Well, I was going to give it an attempt, but I don't want to be sick over the microphone.
Get a ball, give it a go. No, you're doing it's with the tongue. You are doing the tongue actually. It's a myth. The tongue is not used in this at all. It's the back of the throat.
No.
Here it comes. Get the ball ready.
Be sick. Yeah, that's I don't want to be sick. I mean, it's amazing because it is both obviously very necessary for language, but also sounds like a very tiny car or a small tiger.
Voiture, you could say.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the tongue is down. Try it one more time. The tongue is down in the mouth.
La voiture.
Back of the top and the back of the throat.
No, it sounds like I'm going to be sick.
Not a good effort.
No, it's not good. Is it also? I mean, very similar to the sound the drone made that child was on. It sounds very like a small flying vehicle, perhaps.
Yeah, that's not exclusive to French drones. That's every drone makes that noise. Every drone goes. That's the thing. Even a drone can manage it, and you cannot.
I can't. No, I can't. And I might practice. I mean, I think I've got time this afternoon. I might just sort of surround myself with vomit receptacles and just give it a go until I've until I can.
Well, if you're going to go there, try the petomania as well. Might as well go the full.
May as well try and be sick and fart at the same time. What else have I got to do this afternoon? I mean, it's good to learn these new skills, and obviously the way there can be quite hard. But once I've got them, I suppose it's quite useful for pretending. I'm trying to learn French, but I don't really speak it, so I suppose it'd be more useful for me where I need to pretend to be a small tiger /drone/car.
I assume that's why you're trying to learn it, because you don't know it.
Yes, well, exactly. Yes.
If you already knew it, it would be pointless trying to learn it.
Yes, well, unless, like you say, all of this is imaginary, in which case you never really know it, and you've just imagined you know it, and then you've got to imagine you learn. It gets very confusing. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you. It was a fantastic noise. I appreciate you making it, or maybe you didn't make it. Who can say? And the other bit of admin that I have to just check with you is that this is a family-friendly podcast. It's suitable for people of all ages. Can you imagine an age, Marcel?
Can I imagine an age?
Hmm.
Yes, the age of enlightenment.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely suitable for the age of enlightenment.
Imagine that.
And same with like sort of Neolithic, bronze, but not 100 years old. At every other age, absolutely fine. Not 100. Long story. Every other age, it's totally suitable for it. And I just wanted to check if there are any rude words you won't be saying, just to make sure that this show will stay safe for all ears.
Rude words I will not say. I can say a word that sounds like a rude word, but is not. Kankayari.
Oh.
Kankayari.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Kankayari.
Wow.
It's simply a hardware store.
Is it? But I mean, I don't know if you should say that on this show.
What? Well, it's not.
Store.
Well, you are offended by. Oh, you are such a hardware store.
Well, yeah, I mean that's quite. I don't want people to think that I've got sort of hammers hanging on my head and a series of I don't know, wooden planks to sell. I find that.
Well, you don't see so many of them. It's mostly software stores now.
Well,
it's all the computers and the electronic. Not so as many hardware stores around.
You're out of date. You're a hardware store. You're out of date. You probably sell plumbing for toilets.
Yeah, maybe that's what you are saying. Yes, perhaps.
So it could. So can carry.
Oh, okay. Try it again. It's there is a r in there.
I know.
Yes, there's a little stumbling block for you within that word. Let's try it again. Kai. Yeah. Ri.
Oh no, bit sick.
Better, but still awful.
Yeah, it was still, that's fair. A little bit sick came up, but it's gone back down now, so I think we're okay. Right. Well, can Kyrie? Well, I'd appreciate if you didn't say. I think we might be okay, and possibly I don't know what the plural. What's the plural of Cancares?
No, it's the same. We don't pronounce the S in France. Un cancayari, les cancayari.
Les cancayari. Right. So, I think potentially the plural of it might be fine. Maybe let's leave the singular just in case I don't want to receive 400 letters by pigeon. I appreciate if you didn't say it, I won't say it. Not least because I can't pronounce it. And then hopefully the rest of the show shall be safe. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, now listen, Marcel, we've had this letter. We've had an email, which is a letter, but flatter, and it's from Jenny, who is 9 years old. Is that old enough to see your show? Is that?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Yes,
it depends. Good. Well, I don't. Yes, 9, of course.
Too old to be on a drone dressed as a pterodactyl.
Definitely that. Yes. I mean, I will accept money from any child. Don't use that as a quote. I will accept money from any family to come and see the show, regardless of how small their child is. But as long as they are prepared for tears.
Sure. That's fair. I'm just trying to gauge the. It's nice at different stages of life. And it's nice to know that there is a stage of life that is you're on a drone dressed as a pterodactyl, and there's a stage of life that is like you will enjoy Marcel's show. And I
will add as well that the tears were not caused by me in the show.
Oh, okay.
The child gets up to take part in a challenge, looks at the bright spotlights in the face, and realizes that show business is not for her.
Sure, that's
mild
fine.
Existential crisis live on the stage.
Right, that's good. I was wondering what it was, because I thought you might say like they were chopping some onions, or they just watched a very upsetting sort of like drama or something like that. But
no onions are involved in the making of the show.
That is good. They cause a lot of tears. Really upset people. Onions. I've seen.
That's a good round. The chopping onions round. I will write that in for the next time I do the show.
Then you're going to have everyone crying.
Thank you for the suggestion. The chopping onions round.
Very welcome. Very welcome. But you will have all the children crying, and possibly. Do you shed a tear from onions? Or?
Any publicity is good publicity.
Fair enough. That's fair. Well, listen, Marcel, Jenny, who is 9 years old, got this This is a very important question. I think I'm
Mm.
quite surprised it hasn't been covered before.
Mhm.
Possibly there should be huge sort of theses and peer-reviewed books about this. But Jenny has asked, why do some annoying grown-ups? That's she's saying annoying grown-ups. I assume she means all grown-ups, but perhaps she
Mhm.
means very specifically annoying grown-ups. When you ask them for a drink, why do they fill your cup less than halfway?
Ah,
Hmm.
I think she is. Well, this is. Hmm. I think she's projecting when she says annoying adults. It's, well, we most of the time, I would think a parent would fill the cup exactly half full
Hmm.
so that you can have a philosophical debate. Is the glass half full?
Ah.
Is it half empty? But if your parent is doing this, I would suggest firstly, not a natural philosopher, not a thinker.
Mhm.
And secondly, perhaps to remind you that life is never entirely full.
Right. Wow.
You
So the
know,
parents are being quite brutal and honest here.
yes, exactly. Life, this is life. Accept it. Nothing
Yeah.
is ever 100%. Nothing is ever, just exactly as you wish it would be.
Yeah.
Deal with it. That's the facts of life. Life half empty? Is it half full? No, it's slightly less than half full. That's what they're saying to you. They are setting your hopes and aspirations at a manageable level.
I mean, I see I think that's interesting, and I was slightly worried. Is it because when children have a full glass of drink, they always need a wee within about 3 minutes?
Yeah, and they'll probably spill it as well. It could be
Yeah.
that as well. It could be calling
Yeah.
you incontinent or an idiot. All of these are possibilities. I don't know your parents personally.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite a mean thing to do, I suppose. Either
Mm.
way. Yeah. Are you someone that looks at a glass that's only half filled, and do you consider it empty or full? What do you think?
Are we talking wine?
Yeah, let's talk wine on
Mm-hmm.
this children's podcast.
Yes, yeah. As I say, they
Yeah.
should be on that by now. So the wine, yes, the wine. Well, it's a difficult one. I feel only ennui when I see a half full or half empty glass, and I think something needs to be done about that. And very soon the glass is empty. But do I? The problem, of course,
Mm,
somebody like me, if I have one defect, and I don't think I do. I think too much. Think too
right.
much.
Right.
Perhaps in my earlier years, I would see that glass, I would look at the half full, half empty conundrum, and it would send my mind spinning into a cornucopia of philosophical debate in my own mind. And you have to shake that off. You have to do all the thinking that you can about every aspect of life, and then you can get on with life. Try not to get everything in perspective. Huh?
Wow.
It's easy. It's easy for someone like me to think too much, but of course we have to realize that life is also for living.
Wow. Well, I mean, this has been such an incredibly deep and philosophical podcast, which wasn't what I was expecting. Perhaps Marcel Lucont I was meant to be interviewing wasn't at all philosophical, philosophical.
Okay, you
Anyway,
struggled earlier with French. Now it seems
it's
to have spread
it's
to your
all
English as
to
well.
all the words. I mean, I think it's from all that nearly vomiting. It's just thrown me off.
Mm. Go
That's
to a
why.
quincaillerie and get as many pots and pans as you can to
Yes.
contain the vomit
That's a very
in the
yes.
quincaillerie.
I should yes, which you won't be saying, so I appreciate that.
Mhm.
But I will have to do that. I think. But what I was going to say is this become very philosophical, and I'm hoping Jenny listening to this now is not even going to approach her glass with is it half full or is it half empty, but what is life? Am I even here? What should I be dressed as a pterodactyl on
Do
top of
my
a tree?
parents even exist?
Yes, exactly. Well, they might not. She might be imagining everything and doesn't even have
Mm.
a glass. She's got a sort of turnip with a hat on.
Mm.
Is that possible? I don't really know how it works.
Yeah, it's not exactly how philosophy works. I think you need to do
Sure.
some extra reading on that. To be honest, that's
Could I
something
just imagine I'm
only
doing
you
extra
can. I
reading?
don't have time. I don't have the time to help you with that. I feel.
But is that because
Your own
you're not
research.
even sure if the time exists?
Mm.
Yeah. Can I imagine I'm doing extra reading?
Yeah, if you like, sure.
Yeah, I just thought it might make it easier. I don't know if I really want to do it, especially not if I'm practicing all the farting and all the being sick.
Mm. Well, I mean, philosophy is a noble art again, and you can use this to your advantage. If the teacher is berating you for something you have done, you can simply claim that, perhaps you don't exist at all. You can,
That's a really good get out clause, isn't it?
Mm.
Why were
Yes.
you late? Why haven't you done your homework? Well, I don't
Yeah.
exist.
Why are you not real?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
You throw it back at them.
That's the most amazing. I feel like this is definitely something you should be teaching children. This is an amazing get out clause from pretty much everything.
Well, I think that's what I've done just now.
Wow.
You are welcome. Parents, teachers, you are welcome.
Wow. If
you even exist.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's very powerful, and I hope all the listeners will have taken that in. If of course they exist, perhaps they don't. And who's to say I exist or you exist or any of this exists? In which case, it's been a real waste of a conversation. But
Exactly.
if we do, it's been fantastic. So thank you very much.
Well, I don't know if you heard, that was my doorbell. It's probably time for me to go.
Fair enough. Well, very best of luck with everything.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Attends, t'en as autant de temps dans ta tente.
There you go. Merci to Marcel Lucont for that very interesting chat. Now, do you understand what solipsistic is? Yes, I'm very sure you do. Hopefully, it was at least educational. Jenny, I do hope you were pleased with that very sort of French answer. And if not, maybe attach your complaint to a drone and you can send it directly to Marcel's window so he can deal with it. Marcel's children's show, Les Enfants Terribles, will be at the Leicester Comedy Festival next year on February the 12th if you'd like to have him tell you how much he dislikes children to your face, which he will definitely do. If you have a question you'd like answered by hopefully someone less grumpy than Marcel, please get your grand andouille cacas, grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclubforkids.co.uk. And don't forget to check out our Radio Nonsense t-shirts and book at comedyclubforkids.store and our live shows at comedyclubforkids.co.uk. What was that? Oh, the door. Hang on. At this time of day, which is actually a very normal time for people to knock on doors, how weird. Hang on, I'm coming. Sorry, excuse me, listeners. Hello?
Excusez-moi, avez-vous des robots dangereux par ici? Non les recherchons?
Oh, wow, they're French space people from the future looking for dangerous robots. Hang on a minute, I have got this. Non, on n'est pas de robot. Il n'y a pas de robot ici. Check me out, listeners.
C'est exactement ce que devrait un robot de quiz. Tu viens avec nous?
Oh no, they've said that's exactly what a robot in disguise would say, and I'm being taken away. Thanks for being so unhelpful, Pualingo app. I wish I'd got to the bit that tells me how to say help in French, but I guess I'll have to wait till I get to that stage. I think it's about four goes away. Anyway, so instead, au revoir! You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. It's the end.